So I uploaded a YouTube short for the first time, and I actually got some really nice comments. Someone requested I show them how to use makeup brushes. Of course I will. Alright, so you've got two different kinds of makeup brushes. You've got your face brushes, which are usually the gigantic ones, and you've got your eye brushes for eyeshadow, and they're usually pretty tiny, like that. So me personally, I don't use a brush for primer, I just use my fingers. Alright, so the first brush usually that comes in your makeup routine is your foundation brush. You can use either a little flat brush like that to really lay it down. Most of the time, this is my foundation brush. It's more like a kabuki. It's tightly densed and like packed together. Oh my gosh. The hairs are fraying. Don't look at them. But I like brushes like these a lot more than the flat ones, because with this you can pat it around, but it's much like easier to swipe it. With this, you just bounce it all over your face, so you're not gonna have any of those streaks like you would with this one. Eventually the brush hairs will show as strokes on your foundation if you keep using this brush too much. So I would recommend something more like this. Alright, I'm gonna show you how I apply it with the foundation brush. I literally just pat it on everywhere, and the retouch is off, of course. I try not to stay in one spot too long, because it starts to get markings of the brush bristles. It only takes about a minute to blend everything out. I just try to make sure that there's not a bunch of it caked onto my face, so the brush will help soak up a lot of excess. And you just basically pat, pat, pat until you feel good about it. And then I use the same exact brush that I used for the foundation for the concealer, just because I haven't found a concealer brush that I like. I usually use like smaller circular ones that are still dense, but I just don't have one big enough right now. I only have little ones for like eyeshadow and just kind of look up when you get to that part of your eye. It's like you're gonna want to be afraid to put the brush there, but don't be afraid, just look away from it. And I use the same tapping motion. Try not to swipe, because that's what messes your makeup up. Just keep patting. And if you feel like a brush is way too much to be using around your eyes, you can definitely use a beauty blender. Just put water in it before you use it. And still with these, it's not swipe, it's pat, 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 pat. Any of these brushes can be used for contour and blush. This one I like to use for my blush a lot, and these are for contour just because they're really skinny but still like kind of dense. They're not too fluffy. So I'm probably gonna use the same brush for contour and blush, since they do blend out like effortlessly. That took nothing. Oh my god, that was kind of crazy. She Glam contour stick, liquid contour stick, if you guys are wondering. Wow. Just try to wipe off that excess bronzer so that it doesn't royally fuck up your blush. Now for the blush. Oh my gosh, I forgot how pigmented this is. Oh no. Oh my goodness. but you just have more control. It's almost like the brush caresses your cheek, like holds it, like it's hugging it. Yeah, I take my blush up so high. So what? The next step in my routine is powder, and I always use a beauty blender. I usually use it dry. Not because I'm too lazy to get up and go to the sink to wet it. That's not what it is at all. I put on way too much blush, but we're just gonna put a bunch of powder over it. And I put powder everywhere. I put concealer, blush, and bronzer. The retouch is still off, by the way. Alright, we've got to speed run these last couple face brushes because I spent way too much time yapping. So after I put down the cream contour, I always follow up with powder on top. For contour, I usually start right on my cheekbone. Don't go below the cheekbone, just put it on your cheekbone, okay? Okay, I'm definitely gonna run out of time, so I'm gonna make a second one all about eyeshadow brushes. Remember, Pat, don't swipe. Never. It's time to teach y'all how to use some eyeshadow brushes. Let's go. I'm not gonna go over every single makeup brush in the world, but I'm gonna go over my favorites. If you have never bought an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, you need to go buy one so that you can get one of these brushes. One of these brushes comes in every single one of their palettes, and okay, it looks like whatever, right? This is the best brush that I've owned, and I had like 2 others, but I lost them apparently. It's so good because you have this one really dense, packed side to lay down all your dark shades, just pat them on there, and then it has the fluffy end to blend them out after you've patted them on. Now, when you want the pigment, tap. When you want to blend, do those nice fluffy circle movements. Now, these are all Morphe brushes. Okay, so this is the Anastasia one that I just showed you guys. You see how that one's so much skinnier, so much smaller? I really prefer these kinds of brushes to blend out all of that dark pigment with. Because when you start dragging this big old thing around, it can get really out of control. The smaller the brushes, the better they're gonna work, honestly. So I'm sure you guys have run into glittery shades, metallic shades, and trying to use a regular brush on them, and you're like, why aren't you sticking? Yeah, it's because you're not using one of these. Okay, these are really flat and really thin, especially if you give them a little spritz with that MAC Fix Plus or that Urban Decay all-nighter. Whatever you guys use, just give it a little spritz. Now, this is the eyebrow brush that I was showing you guys. The one right next to it, I love to use for, like eyeliner right above the lash line, right below the lash line. You can also use the brow brush to do that, but I don't like to get black in my brow brush because it takes forever to get out. So alright, these are gonna be like your graphic liner type brushes, detail brushes, any artwork you want to do all over your face. These are gonna be really great. And I'm sorry, but brushes like these, unless like I'm doing 2 colors on my eyes, I can't use them for my eyes, so I use them for highlight, because they're just like the perfect size to put something right on your cheekbone to make it blinding. Now, if you do want kind of a bigger-ish brush, you see the difference between those 3? This one's a little bit smaller. Always go with smaller, because then if you use a bunch of big fluffy shit all over your eye, it's gonna turn into a muddy mess, trust me. The first thing I do after I finish my face usually is my nose contour, because none of the face brushes are small enough to really go in there and chisel out your nose. So you're gonna want one of these fluffy but thin brushes. Now the fluffy brushes are so easy to use. You just pat. Okay, and once you got it patted down and it looks like really harsh, you can definitely start blending it out using like circular strokes. Next thing I usually do is my eyebrows. You're gonna want to pick a small and thin angular brush. Hell, if you want it to be super sharp, you can take setting spray and spray it all over there and just keep pinching it together. That'll make it real skinny to where you can get your lines on those brows pretty precise. And of course the spoolie on the other end to just help sort those eyebrow hairs. And so a little trick for eyebrows: if you don't know your eyebrow shade, just use your contour shade. It'll work just fine. Alright, since my eyebrows have been growing in the right way finally, I literally just take the powder and put it right on top of my eyebrows that are already there. And this is the only one where I will swipe both up and to the side. I should have gelled these puppies down though. Oh my god. They're fucking sticking straight out my face. If you don't have an eye primer, just use concealer. Okay, I'm almost out of time, so I'm gonna have to make another video. I'm sorry, but thank you for watching. Alright, this is gonna be an eyeshadow brush tutorial. First, I'm starting with a tiny, densely packed brush, and I'm picking up a black eyeshadow shade, and I'm just placing it using tapping motions all around my lash line. To make it easier to make that wing shape, you're gonna wanna just start putting pigment above your lash line and below your lash line, and then eventually you'll start to see where your wing is gonna go. Alright, now that I've placed all that black around my lash line, I see that my wing is starting to go over here. So I'm just gonna drag it out. Now for this part, you can always switch to a more angular brush. Let me show you. You're gonna wanna find a brush that looks just like this. Pick up that same shade. And just start dragging it out. This brush also makes it easier to get into the inner corner. Remember, they're sisters, not twins. Okay, now I'm taking this Morphe M506 and I'm gonna pick up like a purplish red shade. I don't know what that is. And just start blending it out right above the black, like literally almost right on top of it. And I'm gonna use the same method that I used with the black. I basically just tap it on there first and then blend it out with circular motions. Alright, but when I get to the edge of the liner, I'm gonna stop and switch to another brush. I'm gonna go back in with the same angled brush I used for the black and put it right on top. Just drag it back in. Remember, they're sisters, not twins. I'm gonna go back in with the Morphe brush and use a purple, soft purple color. And then do the same thing right on top of that darker purple. Also, if this brush is too big for you to work with colors this close together, you can always go back to your angled brush. It's gonna work the same way. Just don't use any spray on it. Keep it nice and fluffy because you're gonna want that blendability. I'm gonna go ahead and show you that you can do it with both. That actually seems to be working better. You really just want to keep packing it on gently. Take your time, go slow. That's gonna give you the best blending results. Soon it'll start to melt together like this instead of like the harshness at the end. Just keep blending. Slow and steady wins the race. We're finally gonna use this one in red. Oh my god, I almost did that in pink. Just look up, don't be scared of it, and put it right underneath the black below. Until that harsh line disappears. Okay, now we're gonna use the nice fluffy brush and dip it in the pink one to blend out all the colors on top. It might be too fat actually. It's okay. And just drag it right above the rest of the colors. That's just to make the top line not look so harsh. Yeah, and with these fluffy brushes, when you pick up that shade, it's gonna pick up like half the damn pan, so just tap it off with whatever. You should have a mirror anyway. Okay. And we're gonna drag a tiny bit of pink under the red, just to make everything tie together and make sense. Alright, the last brush we're gonna go over is flat ones. You want it to be pretty tightly packed together. Alright, I'm gonna use it to pick up this glittery shade. None of those fluffy brushes are gonna be able to pick it up at all. That's way too much, but it sticks right to it. This is the only brush that's gonna pick up those glittery metallic shades. You're gonna wanna put it up here, right underneath your brow, because that's where the light catches everything that's sticking forward on your face. Oh, that is very silvery. And you're gonna put it right here in the inner corner, because when you turn, light catches it. I usually don't put highlighter on anymore since it's not 2018, but I would use this brush, pat it, and then take a fluffy brush. Hold on. Alright, so I patted it on with the flat brush, and now I'm just gonna blend it out with a fluffy. Don't forget the Cupid's bow. Don't forget liner and lashes. All done. Hope I could help.